Hello ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. We're about to present you with a flip through of the brand new game from Warlord Games, the naval Age of Sail battle game called Black Seas. We've just been handed the rulebook for the game, and rather than wait and present you with a devilishly sharp usual flip through video, this is a very rough and ready one that we wanted to get out as soon as possible so you can take a look at what the Black Seas rulebook looks like. So we're going to be looking at it together for the first time. I'm going to start with an advert by saying that in the next issue of War Games Illustrated, so that's the October 2019 issue, you are going to get loads more Black Seas content, and you're also going to get one of these or one of these. So these are the models for the game. You're either going to get a frigate or two brigs. They're going to be attached to the cover of the magazine, and there's also loads of content in there relating to the game, including a playthrough of the game, a rule showcase as we call it, and a designer's notes. But anyway, let's move on and have a look at what's inside the book. So we're starting with some very nice photographs, which you'll see throughout the whole magazine. Gabriel, who wrote the rules, is the headline act there, and he's in the latest issue of War Games Illustrated telling us all about them. So we start with the core rules, which are giving us the ship sizes, and these are photographs of the Black Sea ships that are being released by Warlord Games, some of them in plastic, some of them in resin. It then goes on to talk about the ship cards which are used in the game. These are used throughout the whole game to represent the ships that are on the table. These cards will sit at the side of the table, and they're a way of tracking the damage and seeing how many guns you've got on your model ship, etc. So moving through, we have a look at the tokens that are used in the game as well. Things like the different tokens for the different shot that are used in the cannon, or these critical hit tokens that are placed next to the models to show when they're damaged. This is a picture of a Black Seas game in progress, so you can see how full the table can get with the cards and with the models on there as well as the rulers and the dice and stuff. It's going to be available just as this rule book, or in a box set called Master and Commander, which will have models in there and all the components as well. So we go into the turn, which shows us how we use wind in the game, or the effect that wind has on your model and how it moves, which is quite an interesting system where whichever direction the wind is coming from, the models that the wind hits, as it were, first will move first. So it's not an I go, you go kind of system. Here we are, more about the movement again here. These are the wake cards that are used, the models sit on top of the wake cards, and that determines how fast your vessel is moving. And we've got the turning, which of course is very important when you're sailing a ship, how far it can turn and when it can turn, etc., and where it can move once it has turned. Shooting, which is usually an important part of any war game, naval or otherwise. So this is giving you instructions on where the guns are and where they can fire and what the ranges of the guns are. Osprey pictures used throughout the book as well. This is the to hit chart, which shows you things like the pluses and minuses regarding your crew being experienced or inexperienced, or the speed of the vessel and how that changes things. There's a section here on mortars and how mortars are used firing from the ships. More lovely pictures of figures on the table. Here's the damage section showing you what different damage is done by the different types of cannon on board: the heavy cannon, the light cannon, the carronade, or the mortar. Critical damage. Critical damage is a great fun part of the game, actually. If you do score a critical hit, you can hit the crew, or you can set the ship on fire. There's critical hits depending on where you do hit. Sorry, there's critical tables depending on where you do hit. So you've got a hull table and you've got a high table if you're aiming high up. Collisions, which are of course to be avoided at all costs, but are great fun if you crash into your opponent, or indeed your own vessel, or another one of your own vessels. We've got boarding actions. We played a game with a boarding action in recently. In fact, the conclusion of the game was a boarding action, which was which was a lot of fun. Additional rules. So up until this point here, 27, you can, page 26, you can consider this to all be the basic rules. Then we get into the additional rules, which you don't need to use in your first game, but we'll add something later on. So you've got ships on fire, you've got raking fire, which is shooting directly through your opponent's vessel. We've got ammunition types, so you can bring that in there with the chain shot or the grape shot and the red hot shot, etc. Then we get into the scenarios. Now I'll whisk through these pretty quickly, but there are quite a lot of them. There's scenario Out of the Fog, Letter of Marque. They're the kind of like the more basic scenarios. Then we get into the advanced rules. So we've got both additional rules and advanced rules as well. In the advanced rules section, we're dealing with damaged ships and entanglement. There's also fire as she bears and ships on fire again there, so expanded rules for ships catching fire. Then crucially, there's more realistic wind effects. So we've got a basic wind effect, which sort of is how the wind affects the vessel from, I think it's 4 different angles, whereas here we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different angles. So as you can see in the advanced rules, wind is more detailed and more realistic. Also things like sailing in lines as well, which was something that was done at the time, and how that can be used in the game. Then we've got terrain and weather and fog and sandbanks, bringing those into the game, and more weather conditions and how wrecks can be used in the game. Then we go on to additional scenarios. So these additional scenarios do use the advanced rules. We've got 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 additional scenarios, 11, 12, still going. 13 additional scenarios, including number 13 being the Battle of Trafalgar, which is probably where we all want to end up getting when we start playing Black Seas. Then we've got some history stuff, so battles of the Carronade era, so we're covering the American War of Independence here. It's not just Napoleonic. Then into the French Revolutionary Wars, then the Napoleonic Wars, and the Wars of 1812 even as well. So that's a bit about the history of the period. Then a brief guide to tall ships. We've got these sort of silhouettes of the different boats, which tell us what a gunboat is, or what a merchant ship is, what a schooner is, etc. So it's a sort of idiot's guide to the ships of the period. Sails. So we're getting into the modelling side of stuff here by the time we've got to page 62, talking about the sails that can be used to put on your models. Also the masts. And the hull, and how it can be, what the colours of the hull and the different parts of the hull. A rating system here so it tells you what a first-rate ship is and what a sixth-rate ship is, etc. Followed by a glossary of naval terms. So you will know, if you read this whole glossary, what a chase gun is, or what a spanker is, etc. So all of the different phrases there, so you can impress your friends when you're playing the games. A cross-section look at Victory, which I assume has come from an Osprey book. Yes, it has. Nice picture of the whole of Victory there. Look at the ship's crew. So again, more history stuff here with what a seaman is, what marines are, what midshipman is, and all that kind of thing. All the stuff you'll need to know if you really start getting into the period. More officers and admirals and different ranks there. Here we've got a fleet list, so we can see practically what a first-rate ship was. It's sort of stats really, I guess. So we've got the ship points here. It's a point system for one thing. Then other ships as well, like schooners and cutters, and what points they are and what size they are relevant to the game, what their break value is relevant to the game. Also some stats for land fortifications and ship upgrades as well. So you can upgrade your ship by having more carronades, etc. More a master gunner, that kind of thing. National special rules. So we're getting into some special rules here for the different nations. So we've got Great Britain there. National rules is drilled, and the Admiralty. I won't go into specifically what these things are, but clearly they're they're making your forces nation specific. We've also got notes on famous ships there and the points, values and stats of those famous ships, like the Victory. Same for France, their national rules, which include things like streamlined or double planked or aiming high. Some of the admirals or commanders there, famous ships again. So similar pattern for Spain, and then again into the United States of America. That concludes the national statistics section. Then we go into playing a campaign. So some ideas for what a Black Seas campaign game might look like, how you link your games together into a campaign, which is exactly what it says down there. Oh no, this is linking with Black Seas with Black Powder actually. So this is Warlord Games putting two of their rule sets together, so you can play land actions in Black Powder and naval actions in Black Seas. Rigging a ship, so back to modelling here. So we've got some ideas for how you might be able to make your ships look absolutely fantastic on the table by adding cotton rigging to them, which again is included with the Master and Commander set, I believe. So you can rig your ships up looking really nice. So they've got this cotton rigging all over the boat to make them really look good on the table. Then we've got painting guide, which is not so much okay, start with this paint, then go to this paint, then go to this paint. It's more a case of this is what a Royal Navy ship could look like, this is what a French ship could look like, Spanish, United States. Other details there about specific ships. A bibliography, so if you're really getting into the period, you can find out the kind of books that the authors and designers have been reading. An index, a quick reference sheet at the end, so there's your everything that you need to know in during the course of the game. That's about it. So yeah, that's the whole of the book for Black Seas, and 96 pages of the whole thing. Like I say, this is just the book, not the box set. We'll be unboxing the box set at a later stage. But there you are, that's it. That's a very quick flip through of the Age of Sail battle game Black Seas from Warlord Games.